afternoon and welcome to Law and Crime. I'm Angelica Spanos. Thanks so much for joining us today. The Harvey Weinstein trial continues today here in Manhattan. Our Jesse Weber is inside that courtroom right now and will provide us with updates throughout the show. Opening statements started yesterday, and today we are expecting to hear from witness Annabella Scoria. She's an actress who's alleging Weinstein raped her in the late 1990s. She's the first accuser we'll hear from on the stand face-to-face to Weinstein. Now, as you know, Weinstein pleaded not guilty to charges of assaulting two women in New York, Mimi Halle back in 2006, who's represented by Gloria Allred, and the second accuser says he raped her at a Manhattan hotel room in 2013. She is unnamed at this time. He's facing up to life in prison if convicted on the top counts of predatory sexual assault. And meantime, it is day 3 of Donald Hartung's trial live in Florida. Hartung is accused of killing his mother and 2 half-brothers in 2015. The state described the killing as a murder, all for the money. He bashed his mother's head in and slit her throat. He did the same to one of the half-brothers. The other was shot in the head, and then his throat was also slit. Police interrogation video from the day is what the day that they found the bodies, what we've been looking at so far today. And I believe we can go live to that courtroom right now where they are playing the rest of that interrogation video. Let's go live.
You killed these people. You killed your family.
No.
Why?
I did not kill my family.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
How can you sit there and have no remorse about what's happened? Show no remorse.
So right now, I'm kind of feeling like I'm being accused of something here that
I am accusing you of doing it. I think you did it.
I did not do it. Why would I do it? Why would I kill my own family?
Get some money. Who knows?
Get some money. I could have probably given me any money I wanted. If I'd have needed money, I would have asked Mom for it.
And she'd have just given it to you.
Well, sure she would have.
Has she done that before in the past?
Yes, many times.
How much has she given?
Well, I couldn't say for sure. I guess. Well, she had me get my air conditioner fixed on my car. She gave me $1,200 for that.
I have to pay her back?
Sometimes I pay her back, but not all the time. She don't ask me to pay her back, but sometimes I pay her back anyway. And on the air conditioner, I think I paid her back part of it, but not all of it. If I needed money, all I had to do was ask. Mom would have given me any money that I needed. But I didn't need any money. If I needed money, she would have given it to me. I tell you that right now. Right now. My mom would give me anything I wanted. Anything. There ain't nothing that she wouldn't have done or given for me. I love my mama to death, and how somebody got in there or why they got in there, I don't know. I don't know. But I know I did not hurt my family.
I believe you don't even have a key to your mother's house.
Well, I never have had a key. I've never needed one. What would I need a key for?
I don't know. I mean, I have a key to my parents' house.
Well, I mean, if they needed for me to watch the house or something, they might would have given me a key or something if they were going to be gone for a long time or something, but they never did. They never gave me a key. It just don't make no sense. This don't make no sense. There's got to be something else in here. There's got to be something else in here.
Like what?
How in the hell do you figure that out? How do you figure that out? It don't make no sense.
The way everything in the house looks like it was somebody that knew them that did it.
Well, I don't know everybody that knows them, but I know them damn well. So, I mean, I don't know everybody that knows them. I don't know who comes and goes over there. As far as I know, ain't nobody coming and going over there. I've never seen anybody, well, other than a couple of the neighbors, you know, would come in when I happened to be there. That's,
Who would come over while you were there?
well, yeah, I don't know all of their names. I don't know their names. It was the same people that was there today, some of those same people. That's the only ones that I mean, just the ones that live right around us. Mom didn't go outside. Mom stayed in the house all the time. The only time she went outside was maybe to go to the doctor. And that was about it. If she needed anything or wanted anything, she just ordered it off the QVC. And it was brought right there to her. I know one of them's name is Leville. He's the guy that lives across the street. And he's there part of the time. But I mean, you know, I've seen him come over to the house. I've never seen him come in the house, but I've seen him come over to the fence and call. And that's been years ago when Daddy was alive. Now, the people on the left are new. They ain't been there very long. I don't know them at all. They're real quiet, real quiet. They never speak or anything. And then the house right next on the right there, that guy there, I don't know him at all. But the next one around on the right is the guy that came over the day that Daddy died. He came over to say that he was sorry about what had happened. I saw him come over. And then he came over again a couple of times when I was there, but I don't know what for. He just came over and talked to Mom about something and left. So,
Would you give me a sample of your DNA?
of course.
We can get a packet over here. You need any more water, Mom, though?
Yeah, if you want to bring me some more.
Yeah.
I was pretty thirsty. I got hot sitting in the back of that van over there.
Oh, sure.
How's it going? You David Hartung? How you say that?
H-A-R-T-U-N-G.
T-U-N-G?
It's just all my whole family was killed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, my whole family.
What happened?
They said they were all shot to death in their home.
Where's that at?
To the Deerfield Road Drive.
Oh, by Klondike?
Yeah, out there in West Pensacola.
What's up with that?
I don't know what's over there. I'm hoping y'all won't tell me that.
Well, see what the investigators got. Anybody ask you questions about it?
Yeah, he seems to think I did.
Oh, why did they think that?
I don't know.
You know.
I guess because I was over there the day of the killing.
Oh, yeah, what day was that?
They said they thought it was Tuesday.
Oh.
I mean, that's the day I was over there.
Oh.
I'm over there every Tuesday.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. So we spend time on my mom.
Oh, yeah.
And I always cook dinner for the family every Tuesday. I enjoy the service.
You cooked there for a reason?
Yes. Yes, I did. And then I left and went home. And then the next thing I know, they're knocking on my door this morning, telling me that my whole family is dead.
You work anywhere?
Yeah, I'm a security officer, Sacred Heart, been there for 10 years.
Oh, you off this week?
No, I'm off on Mondays and Tuesdays. I'm not off. I'm supposed to be, I don't even know what time it is. I'm supposed to be at work right now, probably.
Like 10 to 3.
Yeah. I work 3 to 11, but I ain't worried about that. I'm there.
What days you normally work?
Wednesday through Sunday.
Did you work yesterday?
Yeah.
Well, I'll see what he's got. He can say he come back in the company?
Yeah, he's gonna come back with a DNA kit.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll get with him and see what he says.
should be a lot of fun. You go all the way to crime scene and get back.
All right, so we've been listening and looking to the interrogation video here of Donald Hartung. Now, this video was the day that the bodies were discovered, and you have Hartung in that room. You can see him there wearing shorts and a baseball cap. He's pretty casual as he's answering these questions, and he's really just going through a series of questions. This whole video is over an hour long that they are going to be playing here for the jurors. Let me introduce my guests right now. We have 3 guests with us joining us today. Roger P. Foley, criminal defense attorney, as well as Ashley McMahan, criminal defense attorney, and Julie Rendelman, law and crime legal analyst. Thank you all for being here today.
Thank you.
Roger, I'll come out to you first. What do you think of this interrogation video so far? I know we haven't heard a ton of real, eye-opening details, but Hartung does say that he would never, ever dream of hurting his mother or the half-brothers. He said they had a close relationship. What do you make of it?
You know what, Angelica, I think the key to every investigation when you're a suspect is to keep your mouth shut. Because otherwise, people are going to judge with a yardstick how you react. Some people may cry, some people may laugh, some people may be shocked, some people may fall to the floor. Every person is different. Right now, all I hear is a calm man who's not really showing any emotion, but I don't know his personality outside of this investigation, so it is difficult to gauge.
Right, and you mentioned how he's not really showing any emotion. Ashley, do you think that's strange?
Yes, I'd say it's strange. I mean, that's putting it mildly. It really doesn't get any better for the prosecution than these interview videos, these interrogations right after the crime is committed, because it doesn't get any fresher. You get all the fresh information, and you get to see how this person reacted just after learning that his entire family has been murdered. And he's showing little to no emotion in this video that we're watching. I mean, I think this is really going to weigh heavily on the jurors when they go back and deliberate and make that decision, that basically he's reacting in a heartless manner to finding out that his whole family was murdered. This is bizarre.
And on the other side of that, if he was showing emotion or breaking down or crying or anything like that, wouldn't that also sort of be maybe just as weird, because we know that he is accused of committing this?
Well, exactly, Angelica. That's why these videos are so great for the prosecution, because it cuts both ways, So as a defense attorney, look, evidence doesn't get any fresher, than the day of or the day right after the crime is committed. And so, we love the fact that evidence is getting old and people's memories are fading and stuff as you lead up to trial, and the more distance that you put between the day of the crime. And so this is great for the prosecution.
And one of the things I picked out of the video was the fact that when he was asked about seeing the bodies, Hartung saying that he didn't want to see them. And it's interesting because after all of this happened, apparently he had covered them up with clothes and blankets and rugs and things. So when they were pressing him on this, he seemed to slightly get a little agitated at that point and said that I had nothing to do with this. He continued to deny it. Julie, do you think that's strange, or that he didn't want to see these and was denying it continuously?
Look, I mean, I agree in terms of the fact that no one ever wants their client to talk, and no client should ever talk, because anything you say can be used against you, and any actions you take or don't take in terms of even just the way you emote is judged. There's an opposite argument to it, and the opposite argument is, one, is he's saying he didn't do it. Two, he's saying he had no monetary motive to do it. He would have gotten money if they gave him. If he asked for money, they would have given him money. And three, he comes out very calm. A calm person isn't going to arguably commit such a brutal, heinous crime. So there's two sides to it. So I'm not sure it's so evenly cut between. Although I'll say it's evenly cut between the prosecution and the defense.
All right, Julie, thanks. We're going to continue to watch that video after we take a quick break here on Law and Crime. Stay with us. Plenty more after this.
This week on Brian Ross Investigates, Jay-Z in a new high-profile battle that has nothing to do with his rap music business. Instead, he's demanding an end to the horrendous conditions in the state prisons of Mississippi. Plus, meet the lawyer who took on DuPont over the dangerous chemicals used to make Teflon. played by Mark Ruffalo in the new film Dark Waters.
I'm honored to play the role of Rob Alott.
This week on Brian Ross Investigates.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
How I define making? In the broadest possible terms, it is making something extant in the world that didn't exist. Everybody who's ever made anything is bringing something into fruition for a reason, and that act in and of itself makes us stewards of our culture. It's something that we're talking about. It's a response. Actually, it's telling a story. That's really what it is. And I include everything that could be made: painting, sculpture, welding, all of that.
Yellow is positive.
When a kid gets their hands on the world and learns that they can make their fantasy play, that they can make their reality, that's power. And as far as I'm concerned, everyone should feel that kind of power. There we go. If there's something that interests you to bring into the world, that's fantastic. Go figure out how to do it. Go tell your own story. There it is. And so I want to know why you make. Let's go.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
We believe in patriotism. We believe in our nation's youth. We believe veterans earn their benefits through their service to our nation. We believe in a strong national security. We believe in our country. For 100 years, veterans have been impacting our nation through the American Legion, and we believe it makes a difference. If you believe, learn more at legion.org/webelieve.
Anyone can fall victim to moving fraud. Know your rights and responsibilities.
We had really signed off on a price, and that was about it.
Without a signed written estimate, movers may try to charge more.
They were charging us now $2,000 instead of the agreed upon $900.
And may hold your items hostage until you pay.
Not only had they roughly handled or mishandled, it seemed like they had purposely destroyed things.
Visit protectyourmove.gov to download a free moving fraud prevention guide. Search for registered movers and view their complaint histories. Move with confidence.
And welcome back to Law and Crime. We are watching and looking live at the trial of Donald Hartung right now out of Florida. You can see him there in the ball cap in an interrogation room right now, answering questions from police. This is the day that the bodies of his mother and two half-brothers were discovered. Let's go listen live.
In or outside?
Inside.
She'll smoke in the house?
Yeah.
Do you smoke in the house when you're over there?
Yeah. Sometimes I do. Like I say, most of the time I go outside and play with Zena while I smoke a cigarette, and yeah, I do smoke inside.
Does John smoke at all?
John don't smoke, neither does RT.
Okay.
And they have a pet, their mom smoke, probably.
But they don't care that you smoke in the house?
Well, no, John wouldn't say anything, and Mom would never do it when RT was around.
Okay.
She quit smoking years ago, supposedly. I give her a cigarette or two every once in a while.
Joel, let me ask you this. Did she smoke any cigarettes Tuesday?
Yes, she did. She had one cigarette.
Let me ask you this. What do you do with the cigarettes when you're done?
Throw them in the trash.
Inside?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if I'm outside, I put them in the outside trash can.
Like the one you push to the road?
Yeah, one of the two. They got two of them there, and I just throw it whichever one it comes to. That's where I always, when I'm outside, every once in a while I'll settle one out in the yard, but that ain't often. Most of the time I put them in that there, and then when I'm in the house, I just put it in the trash.
Okay. When does their trash run, do you know?
I think it runs the same day mine does.
Probably. What day is that?
You're trying to think. You know, I'm not even sure what day it is, because I don't always put mine out. I don't put it out unless it's full. You know, I'm not sure. I think it's a, I'm not even sure what day, you know, I can't think straight, but I'm trying. I can't even think what day it is that the trash runs. Right at the moment, I think it runs on like Tuesdays. Yeah. And the reason why is because, you know, I go get the trash can and bring it in before I leave to go to Mom's house.
About what time do you think you started cooking dinner?
I got over there earlier than I normally do. I think I started about 2:30. And I think we ate about 3:30 to 4.
Where'd you fry the chicken?
That's on the stove.
What'd you do with the grease and stuff?
Well, she's got a grease pot, but I take the grease out of there. I don't do nothing with the grease.
I mean, did you throw it away when you got done cooking?
Oh, yeah.
Where'd you throw it?
I did. John did.
Oh, okay.
John usually does the dishes. And so
I did the dishes Tuesday.
John did the dishes. I helped him. I helped him load the ones to the dishwasher, and he did the pot and pan.
Oh, okay. And what'd you cook again?
Fried chicken, frozen corn, frozen green beans, French fries, and Mary D's biscuits. That's the same thing we always have, just after see the chicken or pork chops every week, one or the other.
All right. After you got done with the dishes, what'd you do?
Went outside, smoked a cigarette, played with the dogs. I always do that. When I finish cooking, and I get it all ready, I get Mom hers. John comes and he gets his. I go outside, smoke a cigarette. Then I come back in, and I've already got my plate ready. I sit down and eat. That's what I do every single week. Okay? When I get done eating, I might go in there and talk to Mom for a few minutes or something, but generally I go outside, have a cigarette, then I come back in and have John clean up the dishes.
After you got done eating, cleaning the dishes, what'd you do?
Well, I went in there and sat with Mom. We watched QVC. She watches QVC just about all the time. And then we flipped it over to Channel 55 to watch Fox News some. And she said, I know you don't care about QVC, so she said, I'm going to put it on Fox for you.
What time was Fox News on?
Oh, jeez. It's news all the time. This was after we ate, so I don't know exactly what time it was, but
who was talking on there?
You know, I don't know none of the people's names.
What did they look like?
Was it like a black-haired man? There was a blonde-headed woman. Jeez, I don't pay that close attention to it.
What were they talking about?
What were they talking about? I think it's something about Donald Trump with some of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
How long did you sit there and watch the news?
Oh, just for a few minutes. I just watched it for a few minutes, and then I'm back and forth in the yard the whole time because of playing with the dog and smoking cigarettes. So.
How many cigarettes do you smoke a lot?
Oh yeah.
How many do you think you smoked over there?
At Mama's house? Oh my God. Maybe half a pack.
Oh, much.
Yeah, I'm a heavy smoker.
Okay. How much do you normally smoke a day?
I don't keep track of it, but I'd say that I smoke at least maybe pack and a half a day.
Okay.
And now
do you smoke any kind of cigarettes besides the 305s?
Yeah, I smoke other brands. Winston.
Anything else?
Well, recently I bought some Cools and tried them because they were menthol. And
Smoke menthols?
No, not normally, but I wanted to try menthol. I smoked them when I was young, so I wanted to try them. So I was going to get back to Salem, but they didn't have them, so I got back to Cools and I smoked them. But most of the time I smoke 305s, just about all the time.
Okay.
And now I don't smoke all at work. I 7 hours a day, but I don't smoke any.
So you make up for it the rest of the time?
Kind of what it looks like, ain't it?
So what'd you do after you watched the news, went outside and smoked, and what'd you do?
That's about all I did, sit around and talk to Mom, maybe go back here and BS a little bit with John. That's it.
Go back to talk to John at all?
Yeah, I go back and talk to John. Every once in a while, I go back there and ask him what he's watching. See what he's watching on TV, John don't talk a whole lot,
Does he stay to himself?
All right, so we're hearing more from this police interrogation video. We hear the police officer asking him to sort of go over the timeline. And this is talking about when he got to the house. Hartung Sung, he said he played with some dogs, then he went outside, brought the dogs back inside. He had gone to the grocery store, I believe. So he's sort of detailing what happened on this day. And we hear him now talking about the cigarette butts. And the reason why the police officer is asking him about the cigarette butts and who smokes is because we know that the half-brothers and the mom were not smokers. However, Hartung is. So that's what we kind of just heard from the interrogation right now. Roger, I'll come out to you first. How do you think he's handling these questions? You mentioned earlier how calm he is during that. He still remains to have that same calm, pretty chill demeanor.
I personally don't think that you can judge, his calmness to guilt. I don't think any jury member should. He was saying, the investigator's asking about who smokes. He says, one half brother does smoke, one other brother doesn't smoke. He comes over every Tuesday. His DNA is going to be there. I don't attribute to anything. I think that I apologize. Julie was saying that I think it's even keel. It could be helpful for the defense. It could be helpful for the prosecution at this point. He's just calm. That could be his nature. We know that there were some motions filed about competence, and maybe there's some mental health issues because he is a very relaxed person. But does relaxation and not reacting emotionally and jumping up and down equal guilt? I don't think it does. But I'm curious to hear what else the state has as evidence.
Right. And I think that's a big question that we were talking about here in studio as well, Julie. Like, what does the state have as their evidence against him? So far, we really just know about these cigarette butts, the fact that he allegedly told the inmate that he did it. Like you said, what else is there?
And I don't know, and there hasn't been a lot out there in the media explaining exactly what they have. We talk about Wicca, but I'm not sure that him being a member of Wicca or not being a part of Wicca has anything to do with this case at the end of the day. So I think time will tell. I think it is interesting because when we talk about a lot of the death penalty cases, many times we'll sit and say, well, they're waiting for the death penalty portion of this case. They're waiting for the sentencing. This is a little different, at least for me. I'm like, we may not get there. And so I'm not sure that, there's been some talk about it with this case. I'm not sure it's possible we won't get there, but obviously we don't have all the evidence.
And talking more about that inmate, we know that he told this inmate that he confessed to the murders and was planning them for several years. And he even mentions that Wicca aspect of this again in a Ouija board, I believe, that said that the Ouija board told him to go ahead and do this. Ashley, do you think we could possibly hear from this inmate?
I think we might. And, you know, I know that the Wicca stuff and the paganism and whatever, the witchcraft, the Ouija board, makes this whole story kind of sexy for the prosecution. But I think at the end of the day, it really distracts from what they're saying that his actual motive was, which was financial in nature, you know, becoming the sole beneficiary in his mother's will for his inheritance. And, you know, essentially what their theory of the case is, which is that he knocked off his whole family for money. You know, I think jurors are liable to get distracted by maybe all of the witchcraft talk and the Ouija board. So I don't know how much it actually helps them.
And those were some of the questions on the jury questionnaire. They had asked the jurors about Wicca, if they were familiar with it, as well as if they've ever used a Ouija board. So, like you said, could be a distraction there. All right, we got to take a quick break right now. When we come back, plenty more. We'll be following the Hartung trial live here. Stay with us.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end to respond? What if there was no 911? So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be.
There is no typical firefighter.
Everybody can make something, because I think everyone has a spark of creativity, and the reason that I have to keep making is because I don't think my life would be as fulfilling without it. If you make things yourself, that means you're not cowering in fear. You're out there taking chances. That, I think, is my way of saying I love you to the world. All right, now I want to hear why you make.
Share your own Why I Make story today. Visit whyimake.org.
Can I give you a hand?
Interstate moving is much more complicated than just moving within your city or town.
Anyone can fall victim to moving fraud.
Do not sign a contract without knowing who you're dealing with.
Do the research on the company that's physically doing your moving.
Do as much diligence as you can and document as well as you can.
Do Better Business Bureau searches. I would Google the company online.
And the best place to find information is through the U.S. Department of Transportation.
Learn how to protect your belongings. Visit protectyourmove.gov.
All across the country, people are coming together to speed up what we can learn about health. The All of Us Research Program is calling on 1 million people to join us as we try to change the future of health. For your family, for future generations, for all of us. Visit joinallofus.org and find out how you can become 1 in a million.
Yes. Oh, hi. I suppose you're wondering what an A-list celebrity like me is doing in a place like this. You must know, I'm saving the world. Oh, hi, Beth. Yep, saving the world again. Did you know that 40% of all the food produced in the United States is thrown away? That means everything that went into that food, the pesticides, the water, the land, was all for nothing. Just look at this perfectly good food thrown in the trash. The pizza with extra Cheerios, these goldfish and Band-Aid tacos. And just look at this perfect trash burger. This pasta dog looks delicious.
You don't have to dumpster dive like Ed Begley Jr. to save the planet. Fight food waste by shopping smart and using what you buy before it gets trashed.
That's way better. Ooh, arugula.
Do your part and find out other world-saving tips at betterthaned.org.
And welcome back to Law and Crime. You're looking live right now at an interrogation video of Donald Hartung. This is being played live right now to the jurors in this trial. Hartung is accused of killing his mother as well as his two half-brothers in Florida. Let's go listen live.
All right. I'm going to see if I can find somebody to do it. I got a couple more questions I'm going to take home.
Goodness, I'm ready to go.
Okay. Can I ask you a couple more questions real quick?
Yes.
Okay. Your brother John.
John Williams.
Yeah. Who takes him to work?
RT.
RT takes him to work?
RT, that's Richard Thomas.
Who brings him home?
RT. He does it every day.
Every day he works, RT picks him up, takes him.
John works a full schedule just like you and me. And RT picks him up and takes him every day. It has been for years and years. Well, Daddy did it until he died, so he's been doing it since Daddy died. Daddy used to do it.
He doesn't ever get a ride from anybody else that you know of?
No.
Does John have any friends that come over to the house?
We've had a couple of girls come over a couple of times, but I wouldn't know who they were.
Anything recent that your mother's told you though, or RT or anybody?
No. No. They haven't said nothing about John having any friends over at the house recently.
What about RT? Does RT have any friends that come over to the house?
Well, no, not that I know of. He's never brought anybody over there when I was there. Whether Mama's never said anything about him bringing anybody over to the house. She's never said anything to me about him having any friends come over. If he has had anybody over, it's always been somebody he worked with. And there was a fellow out there today that I didn't recognize him, but he recognized me, and he told me, he says, I saw you at your father's funeral.
Excuse me. Hey, your brother that works at Walmart, does he go by any other name other than,
John Williams Smith. No.
John Williams, is it Jonathan?
No. John.
John Williams Smith.
Everybody calls him John.
What's his legal name though?
John Williams Smith.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know.
Does he go by William at work?
No. Not that I know of.
Okay.
Everybody calls him John as far as I know.
Alright. Let me ask you this. Would you have a problem with me going through your house and looking to see if you have any guns in there?
No. I've got no problem at all. You do it when we get there.
Okay. Alright. Well, let's go. We'll head over to your house.
All right, so it looks like they are about to play another video there for the jurors. Till then, let's chat about what we just saw. Roger, you know, one of the things we just saw was one of the police officer interrogating Hartung here, telling him and even commenting on his own demeanor during this interview. He said that if someone was accusing me of killing my family, I'd be pretty mad. And he said, you're just sitting here, haven't even shed a tear. What do you make of that? I mean, is that maybe the officer leading him a little to try to get something out of him, or do you think he's being honest there in what he believes?
Well, you know, I don't even think that's the issue, Angelica. I think the issue is that the defense should have filed a motion in limine to redact that portion. There's no benefit. It's only prejudicial for that officer to be commenting on his reactions and on his thing. It's inappropriate. It's bolstering. There's so many different arguments to make on that. I don't think it's appropriate that the jury should even hear that, because why are you commenting on someone's emotion as a police officer? It's supposed to be about evidence. Nothing that officer says is evidence. We're listening to the reaction of the gentleman, and the jury can come to their own conclusion on that. It's inappropriate, and it's something that should have been excluded, in my opinion.
All right, interesting, Roger. We actually have that police officer who did this interrogation video. He's right there. We're looking live at him. He looks like he's about to testify there. Let's go live and listen.
Better timeline and talk to him again about the situation.
Okay. And where was the second interview?
It was at the sheriff's office again, same place.
Okay. And was that interview recorded as well?
It was.
I don't know what the court wants to do as far as time.
I would suggest to proceed with it, and when the juror's lunch gets here, we'll just stop.
Okay.
If the deputies would just let me know when they're on the choice. Or can we anticipate around now? Can we anticipate around now? Okay.
Was that second interview with Mr. Hartung recorded?
It was.
Have you had a chance to review it for your testimony today?
Yes.
We have no objection to the video of the next interview, Your Honor.
Judge, at this time I would move states 364 into evidence.
So admitted and may publish.
Thank you.
All right, so they're going to start up the second interview with Hartung now, it looks like. We'll get to that in a minute. I want to quickly just talk about what we were talking about with Roger Ashley and this officer. I think he made a good point in saying that the point really isn't how he's asking these questions or, you know, him commenting on his reaction. It's what's really, going on there.
Oh, I could not agree more with Roger on this. I mean, you don't want this officer, he's basically testifying from inside the interrogation room, in this video. And it's crazy to me that no motion was made and they didn't even try to keep this out. It's real bad for the defense. I mean, you've got the officer commenting and saying, hey, look, you're not even shedding a tear. Your reaction is not what I'm expecting as a police officer in interrogating you. As Roger said earlier, we want desperately as defense attorneys that jurors will not take the whatever emotional reaction that your client has into consideration. The reality is, that's just not human nature, and jurors don't always do what we tell them to do or what we want them to do. And I think this is really bad for the defense.
All right, so it looks like the next video is also the second interview with Hartung, which I believe happened later that same night, just a lot later on. This was the same night that they discovered the bodies. Julie, I'm curious if you think that this interview, we'll obviously watch it here in a second, but do you think he might have a different behavior and demeanor in this now that it's later on after more of this investigation has gone on?
Well, it's always hard to believe that he's continuing to talk. I mean, I'm always like fascinated as how, I hate to use the word dumb, but how, he did it once, now he's going to do it again, like somehow he's going to do better the second time around. So that always shocks me. But yeah, a little time has passed. I assume that the detective knows more about the case so that they're more inclined to be able to ask more specific questions, because it doesn't really matter what he says, it's whether or not A, it's consistent with what the evidence is that arguably this defendant doesn't know about.
Right. All right. It looks like we have to take a quick break before we can go back to that video. So when we come back, we'll be back live to the new interrogation video. Stay with us.
People were ready to convict. There was false information everywhere. It was ugly.
They put a price tag out there for our heads.
It's a lot of pressure for the defense. Skylar's life's in their hands.
6 years of a serious eating disorder.
She did change her story.
It changes everything about the case.
Hey everybody, I'm Jesse Weber, and this is legal news you can use. So we all hit a rough patch at one point or another. There's no shame in admitting that. Many times it concerns money, and maybe you're having trouble staying afloat. So our topic today is, when should you consider filing for bankruptcy? Bankruptcy is for those who can't fulfill their financial obligations and need a do-over. But bankruptcy is reserved for only those extreme situations, and a court is going to look at the following. You've tried but failed to work out a settlement with your creditors. You've turned to consumer credit counseling, but it hasn't resulted in a solution. A court ordered that your wages be seized or garnished to satisfy your debts. You have outstanding medical bills that you just can't pay. You either don't have assets or not enough to pay off your debts, or your savings account, if you have one, is not going to help either. Okay, so you want to declare bankruptcy, but which kind? There are two that apply to individuals. Chapter 7, where your assets that can be sold off by a court will be in order to pay off your debts. This includes clothing, jewelry, artwork, or property. Or Chapter 13. Now, this option's better for people who have a steady income, because here you just reorganize your debts and develop a plan to pay back over time. There are a lot of advantages to filing for bankruptcy. Namely, your creditors will stop coming after you, and in certain cases, you won't have to repay some of your debt at all. But remember, bankruptcy can seriously hurt your credit score, and it doesn't relieve you of having to pay specific debts like alimony, taxes, child support, or mortgage payments. So before you file, consult with an attorney first. For more legal news you can use, go to longcrime.com.
Hi there. You might wonder what a famous Hollywood celebrity like me is doing reading in the dark. Is this some new sort of Hollywood method acting? No, this is quite real.
Did you know that Americans use about 4 times as much energy per year as the global average? We waste energy left and right, despite the fact that the dirty fossil fuels we use to power our energy sources wreak havoc on the natural world and destroys valuable wildlife habitats.
By reading with my solar-powered night vision goggles, I'm saving energy and looking sleek.
You don't have to sit in the dark like Ed Begley Jr. to save the world. Fight climate change by speaking up for cleaner, smarter energy, including rooftop solar.
Oh, that's way better. Oh.
Do your part and find out other world-saving tips at betterthaned.org.
Both my legs were amputated due to an IED. It's when you start to try to get back into like an everyday life. I absolutely felt like I lost some of my purpose. There must be something more. When DAV came into my life, they gave me a new mission. I could still be a productive member of society, could still support a family.
The DAV gave him that sense of structure and purpose again to get his life back together.
Visit DAV.org to learn more about our mission.
And welcome back to Law and Crime. We are watching live the second interrogation video that is being shown to the jurors right now in Donald Hartung's trial. This video was taken hours later after the first one that we just went through. This is about 1 a.m. The same day that the bodies were discovered, but this is after police and investigators have had a chance to go through the home, get more evidence from the crime scene, and they brought Donald Hartung back into this interrogation room. Let's go listen live.
What about when you left?
Everything was exactly, well, I mean, I guess everything was exactly like that when I left. I would say it was.
What do you mean you guess? It either was or it wasn't.
Well, it was. I mean, it was like that when I left.
Okay. What did you and John talk about that day you were over there? Tuesday, did y'all talk about anything?
I didn't see John much. I didn't see him much. You know, I mean, we put the dishes in all the way, or we put them in the dishwasher like we always do. And John pretty much stays in that back room back there by the television set.
Let me ask you this. You said y'all wash some clothes.
Well, John washes the clothes, and I help him put them away.
I found that very unusual. I went in the house after I talked. Looked around. John gets all his clothes cleaned at the cleaners.
Well, he still does Mama's and he does RT's. I don't know who else does clothes.
RT gets his clothes done at the cleaners as well.
Right. John washes clothes when I'm there.
Whose clothes does he wash?
He washes Mama's clothes and he washes his and RT's. I mean, you know, some of his and RT's. I don't know what he has done cleaning.
But you told me you washed some clothes.
Well, I didn't. I don't actually wash. I help him wash clothes. I help him put them away.
What kind of clothes are they?
Usually like underwear and stuff like that.
And where do you put these things?
I just take them back there, and John takes them and puts them away. I help him carry them.
Where do you carry them to?
Back to the bedroom.
To his room?
To John's room. To RT's room, and sometimes to Mom's room.
And to get this correct, this first room right here past the den and all that is John's room, correct?
That's right.
RT in his room, did he have anything in there unusual or anything that interests you or anything that he might have in his room?
I couldn't tell you what he's got in his room.
All right, so listening more to this second interrogation video now with Hartung. Roger, what do you think? I mean, it's kind of more of the same from what we saw in the first video.
Well, you know, it's weird. I'm already thinking about the closing. You have officers that are seasoned. He's in an interrogation room. He goes back voluntarily, not once, twice. Maybe there's 3 times. We don't know yet. Then he happens to fully confess to a fellow inmate over a conversation. Come on. I can't wait to see the defense cross-examine this inmate and do the closing. Right now, I don't see anything. He hasn't given anything. What evidence is there? He's a family member. His DNA's in there. He goes every Tuesday to see his mom. You know, I don't see the case yet.
Right, right. And Julie, I think you kind of agree with them in that sense that we don't know what the case is yet. Sure. Do you think this is more of a case of who else would have done it?
That's a great point. And I think we do know at least that there may be a witness that says that they saw him leaving the home around the time of the murders. And the question is, could there have been someone else that came in between? We obviously don't know this. And the second is, who has the motive to commit these crimes? You know, financial motive is always a motive, but we'd have to find out, A, how much money he had in the bank and how much money she had in the bank to make it worth it for him to have committed this crime for a financial reason.
Right, and talking about the finances, hopefully that's something we'll find more about, because I know that, as Julie said, we know that he didn't have any idea that he was not in his mother's will. So Ashley, when you hear that and you know that, you know, the prosecution is trying to say that this is a financial motive, what else do we need to hear?
I mean, that's a huge problem, and I'm so glad that you brought it up. I mean, if he has no idea that he's been essentially cut out of the will, you know, your whole motive goes out the window. And also, in his mother's will, she specifically states in the language of the will, I am excluding my son, Donald Hartung Jr., not for lack of love or affection, but because he has enough financial assets to be stable on his own. I mean, that's huge, and that's in black and white in the will, and the jurors are certainly going to hear about that. So other than, you know, the exciting witchcraft stuff and the jailhouse snitch, you know, there's not a whole lot of evidence here, and I agree with Roger. I'm excited to hear the closing already for the defense in this case.
And it'll be interesting to see who else we hear on the stand. Obviously, this is the second interrogation video. It's day 3 of this trial. There's definitely plenty more to come. And of course, we will continue to cover that here. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll continue to follow Donald Hartung's trial right now live out of Florida. You're looking live at that interrogation video, which they are still playing for the jurors. Again, this is the second video. We already saw the first one played out through the day today. The second one is going on live now. When we come back, we will go back to that and play that for you. We have plenty more. Stay with us here on Law and Crime.
Hey everyone, I'm Jesse Weber, and this is more legal news you can use. Today's topic focuses upon the common issue of when your neighbor's trees cause you problems. So what are your rights? By law, you can trim branches or limbs of a neighbor's tree that extends past the property line. But don't go overboard. You can't chop down the tree. Otherwise, you may have to pay for it. Now, if the tree blocks your view, 1, check if there's a local ordinance. 2, maybe you can enter into an agreement with your neighbor regarding the view. Or 3, see whether your neighbor deliberately and maliciously blocked your view, because you then may have a case. A couple more strange things. Your neighbor not only owns the tree, but the fruit on it too. So technically, you're not allowed to pick fruit off of it. Courts, however, are split about fruit that falls onto your property. Although, honestly, why not just go to a supermarket? Are you really that in need of an apple? Also, you may think your neighbor has to clean up all the leaves from the tree that blow into your yard. Well, you'd be wrong. Leaves are not the owner's responsibility, so instead, try building a fence. Now, your neighbor can be held liable by a court if a tree falls and causes damage to your property, but it all depends on how the tree was maintained and inspected. At the end of the day, it's important to know your rights, but always try speaking with your neighbor first to address the problem. Go to lawandcrime.com for more legal news you can use.
A brain aneurysm doesn't care if you're busy. It doesn't care that you have important meetings. It doesn't care that you have to drop your daughter off at ballet and your son off at soccer practice. And if you ignore the warning signs of a brain aneurysm, you'll realize too late that the meeting wasn't that important. No meeting is. That you'll never see another soccer game, and that your daughter won't see you in the audience at the big recital. So if you suddenly experience the worst headache of your life, sharp pain behind your eye, and blurry vision, don't ignore it. Seek immediate emergency care, because your family is counting on you to take care of you. The Lisa Calagrassi Foundation, shedding light on brain aneurysms. Learn more at lisafoundation.org.
As we constantly talk about privacy today, one of the biggest questions is how do you protect a photo or video of yourself from being used online without your permission? Now, I know you kids love face twittering and instabooking, so let's start with the basic idea that you need to be careful where you post pictures and videos. That means understanding a website's terms of service, because you may be granting a site a license to use your image in ways that you weren't aware of. Also, most legitimate sites will lay out their process to remove material, so you'll want to follow those steps first to get something deleted immediately. But what laws help you to do all this? Here we go, you little legal eagles. Basic rule: you automatically own the copyright in any photo or video you take. Technically, you can go after someone for copyright infringement if your photos or videos are posted or distributed online without your permission. However, under a complicated law called the DMCA, platforms that allow people to post on their sites, such as YouTube, must be provided notice of the infringement before you can properly sue them. Speaking of lawsuits, you may be able to sue someone under state right of privacy or publicity laws. For example, if without your consent your face or body are being exploited online to sell or promote something, or if there was a photo or video secretly taken of you while you were in private, you may have a very strong case. Go to lawandcrime.com for more legal news you can use.
Do you know the signs of a brain aneurysm? The worst headache of your life? Pain behind one eye? Dizziness or blurry vision? Don't ignore it. Seek immediate emergency care. The Lisa Calagrassi Foundation. Learn more at lisafoundation.org.